Hi there, this is Tim, partner of Paragon Partners, and in this video I'm going to reveal my best eBay product acquisitions as well as my biggest flops. Now, like you, I've watched a bunch of videos on selling on eBay of what to sell and how to optimize the process, and of course I'm always curious as to how other people are making their money, kind of what best practices I can copy from them. Normally, when I buy something and I resell on eBay, I look to get 3 to 5 times what I pay for it. So if I spend $10, that means at least I want to sell it between 30 and 50 to make it worth my time and pay my expenses. For this, I guess I have 2 points. Now, first of all, just because I've had this experience with these products doesn't mean you're going to have the same experience. So you may succeed where I failed, or just because I did really great on something doesn't mean you're going to have the same experience. Second of all, I look at this as no different than picking 300 stocks. If I pick 300 stocks and I've tracked them for 12 months, of course, at the end of those 12 months, I'm going to have some stocks that just skyrocket and some of them that just bust. Or just looking at the tails of the bell curve. This is no different. Over time, I've sold thousands of products, and of course, some of them have just been fantastic, and some of them weren't. So the first product I did well on is early 80s or late 70s computers. I would say before 1984, when the IBM PC really took off, and there was a lot of different computer models in the ecosystem at that time. As a for instance, I picked up an Apple IIe in a disk drive, something like $20 at the garage sale, and I was able to sell it for $225. Another time, I picked up some disk drives for the Commodore 64, and I got those, I forgot, really cheap, less than $10, and I was able to sell them for about 100 each. And you wouldn't think it, but even the monitors, the brand monitors, can be worth something because people, they want to duplicate the exact same setup. So I've even sold Apple monitors for a good money. Second, vintage turntables. Of course, there's been this whole renaissance back in vinyl. Supposedly, the pure sync vinyl has a lot more warmth than CDs or digital sounds. I don't have the ear to detect it. But along with this nostalgia, people also want the old turntables. Especially you can find the NAMP brand turntables, such as Pioneer or Samsui. Man, those can be really good. Of course, you have to test them and make sure they're in operating condition. But you can definitely get good money. I've had one, that same thing I bought, I think it was $5 at the garage sale that I sold $70 for. Next, Polaroid cameras, and they work better with film. Even if the film was expired, you can still do well. Now, Polaroid cameras can definitely be a wider range on these, so you want to look them up. And it's not so much the camera, but people like the complete kit. The camera, if it has a manual, the bag, and the film as well. I sold one camera, I think it was a 600 model, and it came with the film. And mind you, the film had expired in 1995, but I had paid, it was something about $4, and I sold it for around 35, something like that. So I did pretty well on that one. Next hit, Lionel trains. Now, the earlier trains, as I've come to understand that Lionel trains, they were later manufactured in China, and people, they hate those cheapy Chinese trains. What they want are the earlier vintage Lionel trains that were made in America. And even when the locomotive wasn't working, or even when they've had a couple of rusty cars, I've been surprised at how well Lionel trains have done for me. I bought a couple of metal box cars for, I think the whole set. I bought 3 for $3, and I was able to sell them for $40. I like that one. Expired medicines. Now, of course, this one comes with a couple of major caveats. First of all, anytime you sell medicine on eBay, you have to be very aware of the category that you're selling it into and that it's allowed. And second of all, when you sell expired medicines, they have to be clear as day as to the expiration. When I do this, I put the expiration, or just say expired in the title, and then within the description, I'll put the actual expiration date, so there's no mistaking it. Now, I've seen sometimes what happens at sometimes these health clinics or healthcare centers, they get expired medicines or medicines was expired, which of course they can no longer use, but or can still have a lot of their potency about them and still work. So they go ahead and they get rid of them, or sometimes just give them away, and you can go ahead and you pick these up. So one time I picked up this big lot of expired medicine for diabetics. I picked it up. Boy, it was big. It was one large box. It took me a lot of work to break it down. I think I bought it for about $75 to $100, and I certainly made it was about $600-700 when I was through. Now I had to lot it all up, but boy, there was good money there. And like I said, I was very, very clear with it. I also just picked up another lot recently. It had a bunch of expired saline solutions, and I picked them up just pennies. And I was able to sell them. It was usually around $20 or so. So it wasn't big money, but the ROI was certainly there for me. Lastly, this is the biggest hit I've ever had. Secret CD sets. Now, the Secret, that was a positive thinking philosophy which had a reemergence in early 2000s. And it had a lot of practitioners, such as Bob Proctor. I was at a thrift store, and I found 5 CDs, sets. And each set itself was a booklet which had more CDs in it. So it was 5 independent sets. They gave them the 5 to me for $1. All right. And not only that, but all their CDs were 20% off. So I bought these 5 big CD set or albums for a total of 80 cents. When it was said and done, I had sold those 5 for a total of $110. Now, if I could spin 80 cents into $110, boy, I would be rich. I wish I could do that one every time. Now, you're thinking, wow, this is pretty good. Well, this is just one side of it. Of course, I've had my share of flops as well. The flops, skis and poles. And I thought this would be natural. That, of course, they're expensive. And I thought that people would want them. But I just didn't do well on them. I bought 2 sets of skis with their poles for about $35, and I couldn't get any bids on them. It looked like people, they either wanted to buy them new or they wanted to buy them locally to try them out. Besides this, even if I had purchased or had sold them, the shipping is a major pain because of course you're shipping something very long, thin, and narrow. And that would have been just a pain to wrap. And for me, this was certainly a miss. Next, Happy Meal toys. Now, I have no doubt that some people are very active in this segment and make money. I'll just say for me, it was a bust. And I'll attribute part of this because I just don't know the segment, so I don't know which are the rich toys. I thought this would be good because, of course, there's an active community of Happy Meal toy collectors, and they want them. But what I found was that these Happy Meal toys, they're made in the millions, and so many people save them that there's no shortage of these Happy Meal toys. So I just sold a lot of Happy Meal Beanie Babies, and when it was all said and done, I got less than a quarter each for them, even though they were still in the new and bag. And even I bought these, it was about a bread bag for $1 at a garage sale, and even those went bust for me. I haven't made any money on these Happy Meal toys. Another miss, sports action figures. I thought this would be another great category because, of course, they're collectible. People like these. They want them. People put them on their shelf. And what I found was if I could get half the retail price, I was doing lucky. Even when I bought these new in box, I found, again, that there were so many of them out there that there's no shortage of them. One time I bought this whole table of sports action figures. I think it was like about $40. And it had dozens and dozens of different sports action figures from baseball, basketball, and football. When I had got done selling them all, I sold them all for about $50. And mind you, when I still had all the fees and some of the free shipping costs that went along with it, I definitely took a hit. I'd be surprised if I even made $10 on it. Another miss, high-end women's shoes. Now, I should have had a clue about this right away. Me as a guy, what do I know about women's shoes? Nothing. But I saw these women's shoes, and they look good to me. I recognize the name Talbot's, Nordstrom, and I saw the retail price on them, and they were usually $100 to $300. And I was thinking, well, woohoo. And I even looked at the shoes, and they were in good shapes. Not much wear on the bottom of the soles. The insides were clean. There wasn't much scarring or muffing. I thought, no problem. I'll go ahead and I'll sell these. I'll make some money. You know, women want shoes, right? It's a stereotype. This is another one where I didn't know what I was doing, and I took a big hit on this one. Another miss is gumball machines, probably because I didn't have the key. So, first of all, I bought one of these and I paid too much. And you can buy these new for about $40. So it's not like I'm dealing with a lot of money here. And even when I bought the vintage ones, people weren't that interested in it. And of course, when you don't have the key, all they are is basically a door stop. That's it. They're a poor decorative item. If they can't get into it and use it, no one wants it. And the 2 times I bought gumball machines, I haven't even sold them. And stupid me, I didn't have the key for it. Another miss, 1937 Monopoly set. This is one I paid about $35 for. And of course I was thinking, well, geez, people want these old Monopoly games. They're vintage, they're collectors. You know, I looked them up on eBay. People seem to be into them. And what I found was, of course, everyone, they want the 1933 versions. And the 1935 versions can do pretty well. But the 1937, that's where there seemed to be a lot more. And so the demand just wasn't there. And I ended up selling, I bought it for $35 and I got about $12 for it. Lastly, what I call sea-level art. Now, of course, art is a very wide and broad field with all sorts of price points. And what I mean by sea-level art is, first of all, we know what the A level is. This is the renowned art in the famous museums, the Van Goghs, the Renoirs. And then beneath that is the B level art. So these are people, say, like art history professors would recognize, but the populace wouldn't. Okay? And then underneath B level is C level. So these are people who might have a little renown within a particular region. And these are people who, when you look them up, you may get a couple of Google hits, but they don't have any traction on eBay or an active marketplace. So it's really hard to tell what the prices are for their work. So it's 2 examples. I bought some artwork by an artist, and when I looked her up, she was represented at a gallery in California. And her art seemed to be in the $400 to $600 range. So I was thinking, well, woohoo, okay, that gives me some idea. And I got this piece for $45, and I've been trying to sell it for 2 years now, and I still haven't had a hit on it. I got this other piece. It was made by a professor somewhere in Russia in the 1930s, and he actually still has one painting hanging on some university museum over in Russia. It's just one. So his name came up on Google. The same thing, when I've listed it, I haven't had any hits on it. So this is another one where I tried to buy art that was within my price range, and I haven't had any luck whatsoever. So I hope this video gives you some ideas, and perhaps even you can learn from some of my mistakes. And most of all, I help you make money. Cheers.